Okay, hello everybody. It's Ginger Bowler here in Broomfield, Colorado from Energy Events. We're and Luke Skirpon. We're with Energy Events and the LETS program, Light Energy Training Seminars. We're also, for many of you, your super dealer team leaders with Inlight Medical. So we're going to present a series of webinars in support of our AR network. And our customers, because now we have in our new facility here in Broomfield, which we just moved into, we have the ability and the technology, thanks to having Luke as our general manager, and from the generation that understands technology, having set up this teleconferencing situation, that this is going to be easy for us, and Marcy and I can basically, and our other presenters can basically just show up and present on the different topics. We do intend to have a whole library full of recorded webinars for light therapy. Presently, we are still doing the light therapy certification live, and many of you all are registered for the Orlando event just in a week from now. And or you're going to see us at some other place on the road. We have December 5th through 7th training here right in this building in Colorado, and then we take the show on the road next year with Syracuse, New York in March, and Dallas in February, and other locations. So that being said, I'll go ahead and start. Marcy is our main science instructor, our main instructor for light therapy certification. And so Marcy, she's a genius. We call her Baby Einstein.
That's
because she's so doggone smart, it hurts. And so a lot of you all have taken classes with Marcy before, but Marcy Denton, here she is in Texas. So Marcy, go ahead and take it away.
okay.
So
Well, am I host
presentation. Sorry, Marcy, I'm going to cut you off. At the end of the presentation, for those of you all interested in sales, rentals, or sessions, I'm going to tell you how you can go back to your own authorized representative and take advantage of the specials for the month, or find out how you can have light therapy in your life. But we'll do that at the end for those of you all who want to stay on at the end. So go ahead, Marcy. Uh-oh. Oh, there she is.
We just have to do a little switcheroo on the on my taking over the webinar here. Well, I'm so glad to be here. This is the third time I've presented this. My dog, you know, is a certified light therapist because he sort of hears this always for the first time. And so I did a little practice, and then we had one this morning. So I'm really excited about presenting tonight what has been always a question of when my clients would receive a good session, they didn't know how to tell their friends. They didn't know how to tell their spouse what went on. So this is rooted in that particular reason to have this topic. And so what I have done is added a slide in here about the chat. So as we go through, there's an opportunity for you to type questions or comments, and at the end, we'll go over those, but not in between. So I have a new business card. I am delighted to say that the first part of my business card is the same. I'm a certified light therapy instructor with LETS, and a co-author and instructor with the program. So the manual, Isabel and Ginger and I have rewritten again, actually not rewritten, but revised, and we're really pleased with it. But over time, I have actually formed a company, and I am now working within the United Kingdom, and have done some program work, curriculum work that I will be sharing with the people in Wales and in England, and just really excited about doing that. This is, if you know me well, this looks like my life. Where in the world is Marcy? And now that I am sometimes in the UK, it really is true. Where is she today? How did I get here? And these used to be placemats that my children would love to just kind of finger and go look at all the different things that are going on. Well, if I did my story, I could make mine look just like this. So let's see how I ended up in light therapy and answered those questions for my clients. I'm a science teacher, and this particular bumper sticker was one of those that kept moving from one classroom to the other. And the kids would say, well, what is, before we get to the topic, what does all this mean? And I said, oh, it's very grave. You will find the gravity of it when we get there. So I love this particular topic because nobody seemed to know what it meant, and then we could play with it the whole year. I taught high school, chemistry, physics, biology, middle school. I was an online mentor before we even had a title for online mentors. I was a professor at Schreiner University with pre-service teachers. I even was an independent consultant and drove around Texas with all my stuff in the back of my car. I'm a co-founder of a biotech company and did the research that ended up with a patent. It's kind of fun to say that. The company name is Newcom. And then the bump in the road. And this little saying on the side seemed to hit exactly what is my philosophy and my theology. My theology of the bump in the road is that sometimes in the winds of change, we find our true direction. So what does that have to do with this topic? Well, my husband died, my company and I divorced, I lost my livelihood, and I fell. And I found the light. It soothed the pain of the fall and the tear, but it also soothed other things as well. It soothed some losses that I had. And my guess is that that is true for your clients and for you, but we're gonna get there a little bit. So it changed my whole life. I became a light therapist. I joined up with Ginger and Isabel, opened a practice in Kerrville, Texas, wrote the manual for, worked on the manual for the light therapy, was hired by Enlight to write curriculum for neuropathy. That didn't quite work out, but lo and behold, we formed a company and we're very successful. We even beta tested cognitive decline and reversed Alzheimer's. And it got reported and it was picked up by a magazine. And my goodness, Dr. Hamlin signed on as a co-author. Oh my goodness, we're excited. And that led to our relationship with the University of Cardiff at Wales. They have invited us, my collaborator and I, to be part of their biotech incubator and to bring light therapy to the UK. They really don't have it there. So this is a little bit of the brochure from that particular location. But I didn't get there with a straight line. I got there on one of these crooked lines. And really and truly, one thing that didn't work out well led me to another that gave me great experience, and then another and another. And I think that that is true for all of us. How do bumps in the road turn us to light therapy? Have you seen this in your clients? What do you say? When you start visiting with your client about their bump, their challenge, their illness, their injury, you just need to listen. Listen to their story. Note the area of challenge that they are discussing. 99.9% of the time, it's about a loss. It's about a loss, what they used to be able to do, what they want to do now and they can't. One person told me very, very heartbroken that he could not walk his dog around the block. That's what he wanted to do more than anything. And so that was his quality of life issue. But there were others. There were some people who didn't sleep all night because they hurt. There were others. You have people in your life that you love, and their complaint isn't always, it hurts so much, but it's about what they cannot do or have lost the ability to do, or the joy in their life is not there. And those are the things that drive their interest in an alternative technology that would make a difference. So when we look at our life and we look at how we got connected to light therapy, I'm guessing that many of us had bumps in the road, illnesses and challenges. So how light helped these challenges is our story to the people that we meet. And the question is, if they have a good experience with light, how do you tell them what happened without going into a whole lot of the science? So that's what we're going to try to do today. And that's going to be difficult for me, but we're going to go there. So why pay attention to light, and what does it do anyway? This is the background in my life that says that there's a movement afoot. In terms of rock life, it's very, very, very short time period. But in our life, it's 70 years ago. The World Health Organization said that health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not just an absence of disease or infirmary. They were already saying there's more to this than just looking at disease. And that's my philosophy, and it's our philosophy in Let's. And one of the things that sometimes happens is that people who have these challenges begin to think they are the challenge. And sometimes they're even medical personnel that say something like, well, how's the foot doing over in room 22? Instead of, how is Mrs. Jones doing? So we tend sometimes to get connected to what it is that is our challenge. And we're not. We're not that. We are whole people, and so are the clients that you work with. And that's for us to really emphasize that you may have challenges, but that doesn't make it who you are. Anna Kroger is our mentor. She passed away in 1998, but she stays as our mentor. And one of the beautiful things about what she says is that the body's the most brilliant computer that was ever designed. There will never be a computer smarter than the human body. And given the proper encouragement and the proper information, the body heals itself. What do you tell people when they say, well, what happens? And you can say, we give the body information and it uses it to heal itself. We're not doing it. It's not magic. The body is doing it. We're providing it. We're the instrument of gift to the body, but we are not the gift. We are simply the adversary, the one who goes for it, the one who says, the advocate, not the adversary, the advocate that says, here, body, take this, work with it, do what you need to do with it. And that's really the message and simple about what light is and how it works. Light therapy is not old. I mean, it's not new. It's old. Long ago, we've been using light and light therapy. NASA began to use it to help grow plants in space and found out there were other things that light was doing for the astronauts. And they did research, and we still use that research. It's still the basis for understanding some of the phenomenal issues that we have with it. We're learning about blue light. We're learning that blue light does more than just help the bilirubin dissolve. We're learning that the blue light kills germs. We're learning that the blue light is capable of helping collagen build. So one of the things that we have is that we have people spending money, more money on health and beauty than health and wellness. They go to the spa for their collagen buildup with light therapy, but they don't really know yet how valuable it is for health and wellness. And it's kind of an interesting industry market analysis. So another thing that you would say, what do we tell our people? Light has been good for health for a long time. It's not a new technology. Here's another one that I really, I kind of laugh at this, but it's not a laughing matter. I've had people literally tell me, well, if what you're dealing with is blue and red light, well, what about just stringing yourself up with Christmas lights? And some of you have heard that. And the thing that's important is that for you to say, well, it is the same color, but the wavelengths are not the right ones. There are specific colors that have specific wavelengths that change the cell, that fix the cell basically. And these are cells that have been damaged. So if you put Christmas lights on them, okay, light, there is value to light, no matter what the wavelength. But if we want them to interact with the damaged cell, we need specific wavelengths.
Mars, hold on just a second, Mars. We're getting some background noise. So I don't, if you're not muted, if you could mute yourself, there's a little button at the bottom, because even sometimes the air conditioning, we can hear from other people's. So Marcy, it's the person on the screen that logged in as admin and you have someone working behind you. If you could, I don't know your name, but if you could mute yourself, we're getting some noise from you. Okay. You got a white shirt on? Or Marcy, you'll have to mute her because she's frozen right now.
Marcy, can you make me the host for a second?
Make Luke the host for a second, Marcy.
I'm
trying. Okay. Okay. Did you do it?
Mm-mm. But carry on, that person muted.
Okay, she's muted. That's good. Thank you for doing that. Marcy, go ahead.
Well,
I was earlier today making the background noise.
Yes, you were the one. So are we at Christmas or Easter? I mean, oh no, we're at Christmas. So the Christmas light question, I'm sure I'm not the only one that had that come up. But to have how do you counter that information is important. So the Christmas lights are pretty and it's nice light. Light is good, but it's the wavelength that we're interested in that makes a difference in fixing the damaged cell. And let's see, do I have a control back?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so this is another slide that we've seen a number of times in a video. Wavelength is perceived as color. And what we know about these particular wavelengths is that they penetrate this tissue and the cells much, much different than each other. So one of the things that is important, and we've heard that blue goes into a shallow part of the tissue, and we've heard that red goes a little bit deeper and infrared even deeper. And here are the nanometers or the millimeters that it travels. But really and truly, why is that a difference and why is it important? Is that when we look at application of the blue light, we look at it for skin health and we look at it for building collagen. So one of the nicer things about the blue light, besides the fact that it is a beauty issue and it does help build collagen, is how important it is in wound healing. So we're learning a great deal about using it for wound healing, very specifically for wound healing. And then what we know is that, here we go. These two beautiful wavelengths of red and infrared are very special. They are the wavelengths that interface with the mechanism that gets blocked and starts the pain cascade. We want to talk about this a lot because this is one of the reasons why we apply light, is because these wavelengths change how the cell is reacting to injury and disease and challenges, that I call them. So we'll be looking at this a little bit more in detail. Photobiomodulation is the name that we're using because it's more descriptive. So photo meaning light, bio meaning living, and modulation meaning change. We know about other technologies. We know that a TENS unit is very valuable for people, but it's simply confusing the brain sufficiently that it doesn't get the pain message. It's a very valuable tool, but there's no real change to the injury. The cells are not getting better. The brain just doesn't feel it. And that's a good thing that the brain isn't feeling it. But there's no real healing happening with using a TENS unit. But using light therapy, no. We literally make changes inside the cell, and sometimes they last and sometimes they need more light. But one of the major things that light does is physically changing the cell. There are no side effects that we know of. It's non-invasive. We're not having to cut. We don't have to stick anything in anybody. We can put it on metal. There are any number of people who come in with hip issues and they've got a new hip. Well, can we put light on it? Of course. And I have a pacemaker. Is that a problem? No. These are all questions that people have legitimately. When they hear that you're going to put something on them, their fear is that it will mess with it and it will cause problems. So another thing that you can say very simply is that there are no known side effects, some counterindications, but everything's okay. You can use it on your pacemaker. You can use it because you have a hip issue, no problem. This is the real question. So this wonderful lady came in and she loved the session and just was oohing and awing and headed out the door. And I get a phone call about 5 hours later going, Marcy, what happened to me? I can't tell my husband. I don't know what happened to me. Tell me what happened. So I said, okay, come back tomorrow and I'll have something ready for you. So this is what the simplest way to say this and not minimize the real value of what's happening. So when we're injured, when we get ill, and when we get older, there are things that happen that are called the healing cascade. It's natural. It's what the body's supposed to do. It's not a bad thing if it ends quickly. If it keeps on going, we're not happy with it. And what basically happens is that there's an excess of a specific kind of nitric oxide that does good things in other locations, but in this case, it's blocking the use of oxygen. This immediately causes inflammation, and inflammation immediately causes pain. So when someone is hurting, we know there's something going on in the cell, and we know that it's a blockage. Our people don't need to know that necessarily when we're just talking over coffee about this. What do they need to know? They need to know that when we put light on the injury, then oxygen gets used the way it's supposed to. It restores normal oxygen use. That's easy. We're hurt. We don't get as much oxygen to the cell. It makes it hurt more. Boom. You put red and infrared and it restores the use of oxygen, which takes away the pain. takes away the inflammation. And that's really simple enough that make people say, oh, this looks like it might be something I'm interested in. This is a little bit more detailed. So there's a disassociation of this inducible nitric oxide that gets sent out to go into the circulatory system, and it does really good things. In fact, the first thing I list here is that it gets into the bloodstream and it causes improved circulation because it opens up the blood vessels, vasodilation. It improves the way we feel because it reduces inflammation, and therefore it reduces pain, and therefore the cell can go about its job and regenerate, make new cells, make new tissue, repair the injury, go ahead and do the work of the cell. So this is the key. Red and infrared light restores normal oxygen use. I made this card. This is the card, actually. So when we get injured, diseased, or just older, oxygen use by the cell decreases, then inflammation increases, then pain increases, energy for work decreases, function decreases, things go to heck in a handbasket, basically. But when we add light, red and near infrared, nitric oxide is released from that spot where it's been blocking. It goes into the bloodstream and it opens up the blood vessels. Oxygen then availability increases because things are opened up and boom, we've got oxygen wherever it needs. Function therefore increases, health and wellness increase, inflammation and pain decrease.
Mars, let everybody take a screenshot or a picture of this, because this is the most important little card that everybody wants to remember right here. Okay?
All right. So when I gave this to her, and I have it, it's actually a business card. It's you know, I give it out, and she was so grateful because it made sense to her, and her pain had gone away, and she was, you know, so the husband was really excited about it, but he wanted to know why. Well, there's a whole lot more why to this than she wanted to. She didn't want to tell him. She didn't even know everything, but this was just enough. And this is one of those things of, what do you say? What happened to me? And it isn't magic. So my whole way of approaching light therapy is that light is a health and wellness technology because it releases nitric oxide, not just from this blockage, but it releases it from all of the lining of the arteries and veins all over the body. And not only from there, the hemoglobin catches that nitric oxide. It's a very short-lived gas. So the red blood cells catch it. I call the red blood cells the nitric oxide taxi, because then it goes where it needs to go, and it releases nitric oxide way away. You may have light on your knee and it's releasing the nitric oxide from the tissues there, but the hemoglobin picks it up and bingo, by golly, it's gone. It's down the way. It's on your shoulder. So this is one of those new informations that we have that we didn't have 5 years ago about how this whole work, the mechanism. But here are 5 benefits, and there are 9,900 more. 3 fellows received the prize in 1998, the Nobel Prize. And Dr. Inaro has a video that's pretty old and scratchy, but he talks for an hour. He's not the most engaging speaker, but he talks for an hour and never repeats anything about nitric oxide. 1 hour of benefits without repeating. It just goes to the end, you just get tired of hearing all the good it does. But these 5 things are chosen because they're so important. Improves circulation, as we've said before. Maintains healthy blood vessel pressure. Combats the premature cardiovascular aging. I have a slide on this. Improves sexual function. Supports normal brain cell communication. Wow, normal brain cell communication. How cool is that? Here's the picture of basically the hemoglobin regulating the vessel relaxation. It was really the first discovery of how valuable nitric oxide was. And now we have it everywhere. You can't open a magazine without the benefits of beet juice. And why beet juice? Well, they found that that is an enhancer of the body's capacity to produce nitric oxide. So there's beet pills, and there's beet juice, and there's beet this, and there's beet crackers, and it's amazing now how much this is in the public's understanding. We can build on that when we talk about the fact that this is, we have light and we have a release of nitric oxide. And you know what? You need to support making nitric oxide by the nutrition that you consume. So yes, go for it. Have some beets. This is a picture of the blood vessels. When it's constricted, then you're not getting enough oxygen. You're not getting the toxins moved away. It's interfering with the normal function of the organ system. So if we take the challenges that we were talking about, let's just say we take someone who has arthritis. What's going on in the tissues that are painful? The vessels have constricted. When we put light on the hand, that's the hand that is, having the arthritis, and it begins to feel better, I hope in your head you're thinking, oh, oxygen's being used the way it should be used, and therefore the inflammation's going away and the pain's going to go away. If we have something consistently wrong and it's not being addressed, the pain will come back. But if you continue to use light on arthritic hands and do enough light, people get terrific relief and they can function at a much higher level. What did that person tell you about their loss? They can't open a can. They have to get somebody to help them open the jar of pickles. They write it down on a piece of paper. What is it you want to do that you can't do now that you used to be able to do? And you think about it, it's so often the constricture of the blood vessels that it's taking away the function of those cells. So we always go back to circulation as a key piece. And what opens up circulation is nitric oxide. What releases nitric oxide is light therapy, red and infrared. Here's a picture of some blood vessels, and it's just a movie, so it's a still shot of after you put light on the belly button for 20 minutes. The left side shows you sticky hemoglobin, the right side loose hemoglobin. And if you played the video, the right side's zipping around and the left side is clogging, really sticky, really slow. Why? Well, there's a bunch of blood going by the belly button, called the navel. And if you put light there, it causes the blood vessels, the hemoglobin to loosen and to unstick. But better than that, it sets up an immune response where the inflammatory chemicals are reduced and the anti-inflammatories increase. So you end up with a much better inflammation number than when you started. So I always want people to put light on the belly button, no matter what their issue is, because if you hurt your ankle 2 days ago, you're producing extra inflammatory chemicals because that's the natural way the body heals. But that's a little bit much if you've got arthritis. Let's just knock that down a little bit. So putting it on the belly button makes a huge difference in reducing the amount of inflammation systemically. This is that picture of the cardiovascular, and it talks about what if you didn't have a lot of what you should have in terms of nitric oxide. At 15%, you've made plaque. you barely can get blood through your coronary arteries, and you're setting yourself up for a heart attack or a stroke. If you have 50% of what you should have produced in your body, you've got a systemic inflammation project going on. The goal is to produce the right amount of nitric oxide so it can keep you in a state of well-being, of health and wellness. And here's this Nobel Prize winner who says there may be no disease process where this miracle molecule, nitric oxide, does not have a protective role. So you may have a client come because they twisted their knee and they love it. They are just, fantastic. They've used it for a week. Their knee is better. Should they keep it if you were renting it? Should they buy it? If we don't teach the fact that light is protective, that it's a health and wellness technology systemically, because everybody's getting older, even the young ones are getting older. So each of us have reasons to want to stay in a protective state and a healthy state. And that's why light is a health and wellness technology. Yes, it's very specific for challenges and issues, but definitely it's a health and wellness technology. So once you have come up with some ideas and some questions, maybe we'll look at them. I want to go over, before we finish, give you a chance to type it in. I'm going to go and put the summary of the 10 ideas I've presented at what you can tell people about light therapy that is simple enough and maybe to the point, and you don't have to use all 10, but maybe helps people understand the value of light therapy in a much more profound way. Oh, what's this all about? I started looking for some things to put on the slideshow, and I found my book I love, and then I found my magnifier you put on your phone, and it can take wonderful pictures of bugs. It's just wonderful. I'm waiting for my granddaughters to come so we can go bug hunting. And then this picture of the cup that says, "You know what gets on my nerves? Myelin." I thought that was awesome. There's a whole set of them. I'll have to get a whole set of these. So this is how my mind goes. Ginger and Isabel have to sort of keep me in line. But nevertheless, this is just one of those examples of how much fun it can be. And who I thank is a fellow by the name of Mr. Wizard. He was a TV show, and it was in the 60s. And he had a little kitchen area, and he would bring things out like, let's make rain today, or what happens with magnets, or what if we do this? So it was a what, why, how, and wow. And this picture of this young one, that's about how old I was when I was looking at this, just hooked me. And that's really one of the reasons I just knew that I would be doing science. I would be a teacher. And I met him at a science convention one year, and it was a joy to meet him. He was older at that time, and it was just one of those things. So I always say, if you're not having fun, there's something wrong. So find fun in your adventure with light and understand the benefit of it is just wonderful. I also recommend that you take quiet time, because this is a profound gift we have. And it takes sometimes time every day to just be still and in gratitude. And that's when I put the light on. I wear the light on my head, on wherever. I mean, it's, I light myself up, but it's when I'm choosing to be quiet and still and no TV and no visiting. It's just a good time to be centered. And this is a really profound gift we have. And it's one of those things that I feel very important to stay centered in what we're doing and have good intentions for the people that we work with and the people and ourselves. We want light to do what it can do, the best it can do for all of us.
Thank you, Marcy.
Yeah, I got the summary. Let's go fast though.
No, it's all right. You're good.
Okay, so here we are. First thing, when people start talking, let them talk, because you will hear their reason. They will hear their loss. You will hear their reason why they are not happy. You will hear what is in their heart they really want different. And that is 99% of the time can be addressed by light therapy. So number one, we're whole people, and we're not the challenge that we deal with. We are whole people, and we have many gifts and talents. So giving people a view of themselves, if they've been chronic pain people, sometimes they just feel like they are chronic pain. They've taken on the aura of the issue, and they've lost who they really are. So part of this issue is we are not the disease we have, and we're not the challenge that we're dealing with. So that number one is a way of approaching the person in front of us as a person who is dealing with something and isn't the something. Number two, the body heals itself. We're providing the information, which is light. Light's been good for health for a long time. It's not new. And even though Christmas lights emit the colors, they're not the right wavelength to change the cell, to fix the cell, to give the cell the information to restore its normal function. The wavelength is perceived as color, and it is that wavelength that is the information the body is using. There are no known side effects, but some counterindications. Inflammation is the natural healing process. For a short time, that's okay. For a good long time is not good. We don't want it going on for a long time. Red and infrared light restores normal oxygen use. Light is health and wellness technology because it releases nitric oxide. Light is protective. It helps maintain cellular function. Pain is a sign of dysfunction. And I don't know, but I will find out, is probably the best answer you can give when you really don't know, and it's really okay. There are plenty of us who can help you, and if we don't know, there are plenty of people we can ask. And now I thank you.
Yay. All right, Marcy, thank you. If there are any questions, you can type them in the chat box, and Marcy will be reviewing those questions while I move on to the next section. So I'm Ginger Bowler, for those of you all who missed the intro, and I'm talking to you from Colorado, where we have energy events. So now what we're going to talk about is how you can have light therapy in your life. If you're currently working with someone who is an authorized representative, please go to them to transact any business after the presentation. But let me go over it for those of you all who are either our customers or you're going to be talking to your representative. So here are the 13 packages that Enlight has, and we're going to go through them one by one. We're going to start with the packages that are with the new Brilliant Light cap. So we'll show the first slide is of the cap itself. Many of you all have seen this already. It has about 500 diodes of red and infrared light. As Marcy talked about, the red and infrared penetrate the deepest into the body, the infrared being the deepest. And most of the research that on a lot of the conditions that we've been talking about has been done with red or infrared light. And so the cap has those two colors or wavelengths. It retails for $12.95. If you look at the cap, you will notice there is no controller in the picture. And of course, with any of our pads, you have to have something to plug it in and plug it into the wall so that it will run. But many of you already have an Enlight controller, and all of the controllers interface with all of the pads. So if you already had a controller, you could buy the Brilliant Light cap for $1,295. When you buy it with a package, it's a little bit less expensive. We like the Brilliant Light Cap for many reasons. One, it's the newest thing, but also you're lighting the entire head up at one time. There's some research indicating that it's really important to get certain parts of the brain that maybe we weren't getting when we were just putting pads on our head. So that one's called the Brilliant Light Cap. Now we'll move into the systems that include the light cap with them. The first one is the primo, most expensive system that we have with Enlight, and that's a 6-port 2-pad platinum. This is the most popular system for practitioners. Why? Because you have 2 controllers, a 2-port controller, that means 2 places to plug a pad in, or a 6-port controller, meaning you have 6 places to plug a pad in. So in the center of this picture, you'll see the 2-port and the 6-port. And what's nice for practitioners is that you can rent one of those systems out while you still have one in your office, or you could be running 2 sessions at one time. Now, the Brilliant Light Cap takes 2 ports to plug it into. So if you were just renting out or doing a session with a 2-port controller and a cap, that's all you can plug into that one, but it's still a fabulous package. Now, we're going to talk about this more at the end of the session, but this month, Enlight has a manufacturer special that with any of the 6-port package purchases, you get an additional $450 Pain Buster pad for free. So we'll be talking about that more as we go along. So with this particular package, you see that there's 6 pads plus a cap and 2 controllers. So this month it would be 7 pads plus a cap. So you're loaded up. Okay. The next one is $1,000 cheaper. And you can see it still has the 2 controllers and the cap. What's different is that it has 4 pads instead of the 6 pads. So we're missing from the picture 2 of the body 264 diode pads. And some people will say, well, we don't really need them anyway, but we like to light up as much of the body as we possibly can. So we want a zip-up suit so we can light up the whole body, but, it really isn't necessary. So this month on this system, you would have a 5th pad, another one of those tall, skinny ones that you see right behind the 2-port controller. That one's a tri-light. That has all 3 wavelengths, red, infrared, and blue. Comes in that package. Everything else there is red and infrared. You can't see infrared with the naked eyes, so it just looks like red. But all of the pads have infrared in them. Every one of the Enlight pads has infrared except the face mask, which we see right to the bottom of the Brilliant Light Cap. The face mask has blue and red because we don't put infrared directly into the eyes. So again, this month, that one would come with the 5th pad. And then so you'd have 5 pads plus a Brilliant Light Cap for really 2 complete systems. That's quite a deal. And you can see that the price difference is just $1,000 difference, so that Brilliant Light Cap, you're saving about $300 when you purchase it with one of the 6-port systems. The next system, you notice that this one is the 6-port 3-pad expandable with the Brilliant Light Cap. It doesn't have that second controller, but some people don't need a second controller. So this system's $39.95. And again, it would come with the this month October special of Pain Buster 2, the long skinny pad with 180 diodes. Okay, we'll go to the next one. This one is $19.95 for the Brilliant Light Cap and a 2-port controller. And now that finishes up all of our packages with the caps. So now we're going to look at packages without the caps. This one's called the 6-port Fort Pad Pain and Skin. Of course, you know, all pads are good for our skin and all pads are good for pain, but we typically think of the blue light being good for skin. So having the blue light in the face mask, the blue and red, and then the tri-light in the 180, that tall skinny pad, is why this one, and then, you know, pain, the red and the infrared is just notoriously good for pain. So that's why this one is named this way. And it's a nice price point at $32.95. The next one is a 6-port 4-pad Podiatrics Plus. So you'll see as we get into the 2-port packages that we do have a 2-port with the 2 boot pads that you're seeing on the left, for specifically made for foot and ankle and leg pain, and quite specifically for those suffering with neuropathy. But a lot of people say, yes, I want to use it for that, but I also want to use it other places on my body. Now, having said that, any pad can be used any place on the body, even those blue pads, except that we don't put the infrared in directly in the eyes. So that's the one exception. And I really can't say that enough, so I keep saying it. The next one is a 2-port 2-pad for pain. This is a nice price point with a, what I usually refer to as a large and a medium pad, but Enlight calls them a body and a local pad and a 2-port controller. That's very handy. I've sold a lot of units to people who travel around the world, and even though they would like to have a nice 6-port system with 6 pads, weight and space in luggage becomes an issue. So this is a nice way to have a lot of coverage with 2 pads and a very lightweight handheld controller for $12.95. So here's 2-port 2-pad for skin. Again, the emphasis here is with the blue light, and then we have the 2-port controller. The next one is a price point. Enlight was really looking to make a price point below $1,000 because there's so many people who need and want the lights, but they simply don't feel they can justify or they can't afford the more expensive packages. So if you bought these 2 pieces separately, that's a $500 pad, that body pad, and that's a $750 controller. If you bought them separately, that would be $300 more than you're seeing on your screen right now at $9.95. This is a really nice little price point. You can buy that system, add another pad to it down the road, or you know, when you order the system and have a really nice little package. Okay, so now we have this one here because it's the Platinum system. We're going back to the 6-port and to the Platinum system with the 2 controllers, but you'll see that it's $1,000 less than the one with the cap. So I'm just showing you a visual of that. It just doesn't have the cap in it. Here's one of the most popular ones for home use because of the price point at $29.95. And just remember, this month you'd be getting that 4th pad for $29.95. Again, this is called a travel system. It's a medium-sized pad. We call it the local pad and a face mask. If I've ever said eye mask, I didn't mean to, a face mask. And a 2-port controller for $1,250. Here's the podiatric system I talked about earlier. If you look at it, you'll see that the diodes look like they're less diodes and they're farther apart, and that's because they are. Because a lot of times if people have severe neuropathy, we actually want to return the circulation a little bit slower than you would if you were putting your feet, you know, on or wrapping your feet in one of the other pads, which have more diodes. So that's why we have this system. But I particularly love this particular pad because I like to put it around my neck. It gets the back of your neck and then over the clavicle area. It's really good to put from side to side like this if you're working on lymphatic points or across, you know, at the groin area here. if you work in the lymphatic system or wherever we have a lymphatic issue. And that's a nice long pad. I think it's about 22 inches. And so you get to a lot of places. That's really nice to, it folds up. It straightens up. It's a nice one to put down the spine also. So it's a very versatile pad. Okay, so here we go. This is just another picture of the Platinum system that I don't know why I put this in there again, but maybe it's because it's my favorite, but it's missing the cap, which is now my favorite. So here's our October special from Enlight. It is for existing customers. You already have your system. You want to add some blue or red light. That long skinny pad, that's the Pain Buster 2 with 180 diodes in either red and infrared or blue and infrared. You can add that this month with the purchase of any one of the 6-port packages. For new customers, for existing customers, you can buy one, get one free. And for new customers buying a system, you can add a pad for free to the 6-port purchase. Okay, and then, there are 3 or 4 different ways you can have light therapy in your life. Number one is you can buy a system. And if you want to buy a system, talk to the person who told you about this webinar, and your authorized Enlight medical representative, or however you got here, go back to that person and transact your business. You can rent systems. Most authorized reps do have rentals. And if not, they're probably in the process of getting systems that they can rent. Rentals are really nice. A lot of people around the country do paid sessions. Now, usually paid sessions, you can buy packages. So that's kind of a nice thing. If you can't, are not in the position to invest in the system, you can buy packages or buy sessions. And also at events, we do free demos, 20-minute demos for free. So those are different ways you can get light therapy. You can also make sure somebody in your life owns a light therapy unit if you're not going to get one, and for whatever reason, and then use theirs. That's kind of a nice way to do it. So up on the screen, you'll see that if you're one of our Energy Events customers, you're going to be calling us. Here's our contact information for the U.S. and Mexico. And so also this has been recorded, and we will be sending out a link of the recording. And also just stay aware that we're going to be doing other webinars. Since this is recorded, I'm saying there's one tomorrow, but people watching it down the road, it won't necessarily be tomorrow, but it will be recorded and where you can access it online. So were there any questions, Marcy, that anybody had in the chat before we hang up? No. Oh,
here we go. No, we did not. But I think I left my phone number and email. So please, if you have a personal question you want, I'll be happy to take care of it.
Okay.
And delighted to present. Hope that it was beneficial, and will let us know what topic you might want us to address.
Yeah, we'll have other topics in the future. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming, and see you down the road. All righty.